Next up, we have finding formulas from the structure of the compound. So now we are going to find formulas using structure of the compound. Now, how are we supposed to do that? Every compound has a formula as well as a name. If we talk about compound, so obviously, as I've discussed that in my previous video, and I will link that video down in the description box below on how to write the name of a compound. So as every compound has the name, in a similar way, every compound has a formula as well. Now the formula is basically made up of symbols. Basically, the formula is made up of symbols of elements, and the name is also a combination of elements. When we write the name, we actually write the elements, and when we write the formula of a compound, the formula of a compound is made up of symbols for the elements, and it often has numbers too. Okay, so for example, in the image, as you are seeing that this giant structure is the structure of sodium chloride. So sodium chloride has a giant structure, and in this structure you can see that for every positive ion there is a negative ion attached to it. So that means for every metal there is a non-metal attached to it. This giant structure is the structure of sodium chloride. So the formula of sodium chloride is basically, you can see these are the symbols of the element. Sodium, for the sodium the symbol is Na, and for the chlorine the symbol is Cl, and both of these elements are in 1:1 ratio. That means 1 atom of sodium and 1 atom of chlorine. Now in the diagram, as you can see the other structure, this is the structure of water molecule. This is basically the molecular compound. Water is a molecular compound. Sodium chloride is a giant structure, but water is a molecular compound. So if you see the molecule of water, you will see that for every oxygen there are 2 atoms of hydrogen. So that means that for every oxygen 2 atoms of hydrogen are bonded to it. So the formula of the compound would be H2O. That means 2 elements of hydrogen and 1 element of oxygen combines together to make up a water molecule. Now in the picture, as you can see, this is the structure of silicon dioxide. That means SiO2. This is basically also a giant structure. Okay, so in this structure we see that there are 2 oxygen atoms for every silicon atom. That means for every silicon atoms we have 2 oxygen atoms. So obviously the formula would be SiO2. Now what is basically the difference between a giant structure and a molecular compound? In giant structures, for example, if we talk about sodium chloride or the structure of silicon dioxide, what does the formula tells us? The formula tells us the ratio of the ions or atoms in the compound. It only tells about the ratio. What's the ratio? For example, here we have talked about sodium chloride 1:1 ratio. If we talk about silicon dioxide, that would be 1:2 ratio. So it talks about the ratio of atoms or ions present in the compound. If we talk about molecular compound, this formula tells you exactly how many atoms are bonded together in each molecule. That means how many atoms are bonded together in each molecule. If we talk about water, so in water we have 3 atoms, and for every oxygen 2 hydrogens are bonded with it. This is basically the difference in giant structures as well as molecular structures.